Well, hey there, Streakers. Hopefully you have had a wonderful day. My day has been full of travel. From Pittsburgh through Chicago, finally landing in Salt Lake City, and late at night. As I was going through the airport, one of the inspirations that I had, one of the things that I looked at was all of the artwork that is in the airports that I traveled through. From Pittsburgh to Chicago, and then finally in Salt Lake City. And I was inspired by how much work, energy, and effort is made or gone into in order to make these airports just beautiful. And if you take a minute to look around and to see what artwork is up and just what it represents, it's really quite amazing. Before the pandemic, I traveled every week from Monday through Thursday. So Monday I'd leave sometime in the morning, maybe mid-afternoon, and then I'd get back usually Thursday night. And that was the schedule that I kept for about 10 years, maybe 11 years. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything about air travel. When the pandemic hit, obviously everything shut down and there was no more flights. And therefore, what I was doing traveling-wise now moved to online. And I moved everything to online. In fact, after the pandemic, or was it after? Yeah, it was just after the pandemic, I even switched positions, and that cut my travel even more. As I got back out on the road today, one of the things I was doing was I was working with an organization on leading at the speed of trust, Stephen M. R. Covey's work. And I was thinking about, as I got done with that and was now traveling, I was going through Chicago. And Chicago, a lot of people, just back and forth between the terminals, several terminals. My flight landed, I believe, at the A concourse, and I had to go to the E concourse, which was quite a jaunt away. And I was reminded of how much walking I did when I was traveling as much as I did. If you've never been through Minneapolis, huge airport. Chicago, huge. Also Atlanta, huge. I mean, there were many times when I was doing my streak, as far as walking or running at least 1 mile every day, that I would do it in Atlanta, and I'd go down and through the tunnel. I'd walk from the T concourse all the way through to the F concourse and back. And that was about 1.5 miles, almost 2 miles of walking that I could do through those concourses. The reason I bring all of this up, and in Atlanta's airport, there was so much wonderful art that you could see made from stone, and then also on the walls, photographs, and then the history of Atlanta through one particular concourse, amazing. They had the forests of Atlanta. It was just beautiful. Inspired by all of this and thinking about all of it, I think about the people that were the artists or artisans, the creators of this art, and what they did every single day in order to put up these beautiful pieces of art and to sculpt them or to chisel them out of stone. I just think about that and am amazed at the time, energy, and effort that goes into every day. When we were writing the Streaking book, one of the things that we focused on was art. In fact, one of the paintings that stood out most significantly, and one of the ones we considered for a little bit more than just mentioning, but potentially having it as the cover of the book. We didn't have it as the cover of the book because it just dated it made the book look very dated rather than modern. Anyway, Georges Seurat, he painted a Sunday afternoon on the Grand, now I've even forgotten the name, but on the river, La Forge River or something like that. And what it was the first inkjet printer. And it happened to be Georges, right, basically using pointillism to paint this painting. Every single color that he did was a dot. And he basically put it on there. And if you've ever seen this piece of art, it's 6 feet tall by 10 feet wide. And I just think about every single day, he took the time to paint at least one dot on this canvas and turned it into just a beautiful work of art. That is what we do with our lives, is as we streak and do at least one activity, whatever it is, toward who we want to be, every single day, we are painting the picture of our life. And as we paint the picture of our life, through the actions and activities that we do, we get the colors and the hues and the beautiful things. And it's not just, again, it's not this intense focus for one single spurt. It is a painting through life. It's what you do every single day that paints this beautiful picture and that makes it the masterpiece. Today, we were sitting down, and after we talked about leading at the speed of trust, we talked about self-trust and what it took to create self-trust. And it is consistently doing activities that bring about credibility and confidence. I was talking with a group of individuals just after we had finished, and we were talking about streaking. Imagine that. That streaking came up. What we were discussing is that there are 3 types of streaks, and Talon and I discussed this in one of our podcasts before. The lifetime streaks, the time of life streaks, and the challenge streaks. And as I look at these 3 categories of streaks in my life, the lifetime streaks, the ones that I never want to end, that I want to have forever, the time of life, where every time of life requires a different level of consistency, and then the challenge streaks, which are really streaks that you're maybe trying to up your game a little bit or a lot, and doing it for either a certain amount of time or until a performance level is reached. As we were talking about these, my mind went back to these, or as I was walking through the airports and I thought about this conversation, I just went back to this whole idea that artists spend their entire life painting, sculpting, creating, till they can get to the point where what they put on the canvas is absolutely beautiful. And as you consider your life, it may not be the first year, the second year, the third year of your streak that gets you to where you want to be. However, every single time you're doing it, you're making progress. And that progress, no matter how small it is, as long as it's consistent, will get you to your eventual destination. That is the key to streaking. It's the key to personal, professional development. Streaking is the key to personal and professional development, to becoming really who you want to be. So, as you set your sights on that far distant object of who you want to be, just know this: you are painting a masterpiece. And that masterpiece is beautiful to behold. If you've ever been interested in the behind the scenes look, what you're doing when you're streaking is behind the scenes. And the result will then be shown in time. But you got to keep going. You've got to keep doing it every day. So this is my encouragement to you, is to keep streaking. If you want to learn more about streaking, you know where. Download the Streaking app from Google Play or the Apple App Store. You can also purchase the book at Amazon or anywhere books are sold. Audible also has the book, and you can download it as an ebook. Do me a favor, and please, if you wouldn't mind, just write a review or subscribe to the podcast or review the app. That would be fantastic. Until we talk again, keep streaking.